Welcome to Exposing Rachel and Benjor.
Today we're talking about woke culture. It's such a big deal in the US now, and we think it's pretty dumb.
Yeah, especially all over TikTok, the kind of woke ideology is kind of penetrating everywhere. And I won't even say that, I don't want to offend anybody in this video because unfortunately it's going to happen, right? I think people all have their own ideas about political statements and what they believe is, just and right, and other people have different ideas of that. But I feel like when we talk about woke culture, anything anybody says, they will get offended. So if you get offended easily, then leave, because we're not going to have a whole lot of things to tell you.
How would you define that, I guess?
Yeah, I think woke culture are people who lean super far to the left, right? They are super, super liberal. And I think because they are so staunch in their leftist ideology, that even like interacting or being open to people like us who are more middle conservative, center kind of leaning right, they don't even want to open up to the ideas of people who are maybe Republicans.
Which is not even honestly, I think it's not about being right or left. And I think that's where the danger is, right? When people are too extremist to one side or the other.
For sure.
Because we're not super politically aware people, right? We don't know much about politics.
Yeah.
We don't study that much. But I think it just takes being a reasonably rational person to see how stupid things sound when you're so extremist from one side or to the other. So I guess when I think of woke, I don't really know the definition that comes to mind, but I do know a few things that when I hear it's whoa, that's woke as shit, and that sounds really stupid.
Like what?
Well, I think one of them is that because I'm an immigrant, right, I came from Brazil to the US, that when I hear so many young people saying that the US is awful and America sucks and you gotta go to another country, you gotta move because things are so hard in the US. It's you have no idea what it's like to be in a third world country.
Yeah.
Where food is really expensive. And I was lucky enough to have a good life in Brazil. My dad always had a nice stable job in the military. But people making minimum wage there, they struggle to buy food for the whole family because it's really not much money going on. And even though here the minimum wage isn't very high either, the buying power with the dollar is so powerful. Even in the US, they can still live a decent life even if you don't have much money. Whereas in other countries, you can struggle a lot with the minimum.
Yeah, just this narrative of America's it's the worst country on the planet. Bitch, leave. Because I would love to watch you fight for your life in Brazil. I would love to watch you fight for your life. You talk about how, the US is so racist and homophobic, and
that's the whole world.
Yeah, but here's
the thing.
It's
everywhere.
I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I believe that there are still a huge amount. I'm from Mississippi. I realize people are hella racist and homophobic, but do you think other countries have it better? Aside from a few countries in Europe that are perhaps more progressive, but life's a lot more expensive there. You want to go to even Dubai, people want to live in Dubai. You're not allowed to visit if you're transgender. So if you're gay, they're going to slit your throat off. I don't know if I can say that on camera. So just for people to say that the US is terrible, this is coming from people who probably have not left the US.
Yeah, or they have left and they have gone for a week or two. They thought, wow, Italy is beautiful.
They don't live in the culture.
You don't live in there, you don't know it. I just had a girl that actually did my nose talk about Italy, and she said I hated it because all of the apartments were old and tiny. It's I'm used to big places in the nice areas of Brazil, and there you just couldn't do it. You couldn't afford a huge beautiful house that was modern because they're all pretty old. And so every country has its pros and cons, but there's a reason why America is number one in the world with the economy right now. China might take over in 30 years, right? It looks like there's that documentary on Netflix. I think it's History Explained. I love the documentary. So cool. So I highly recommend it. Explained. They talk about a lot of topics. I think one of them is about the economy, and China is on its way to take over the US. But as of right now, we're lucky that the US is number one. And there's just so many opportunities here if you're just willing to work hard. do what it takes and not look at the negative, right? Because I think that's the thing with woke. They become very sensitive and they just look at like the negative, like how hard it is to get a job. And it's true, it is hard.
Yeah,
but if it's hard in the US, it's 10 times harder in other places too.
Yeah, because it's not to invalidate that, getting, let's say, a home, because we're in the process of saving for a home. Yeah, if this was the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, our parents and our grandparents, they had it 10 times easier, right, to be able to get a home in the economy, inflation. However, I don't think you're going to find that it's that much easier outside of America. And so I just hate like shit talking our country that you're really lucky to be in. And especially for Benjor as an immigrant, I think can see, if you don't like it, please go to one of these countries where they're gonna throw stones at you for being gay, or
or even like when we talk about really like socialist countries.
Oh, Venezuela! You guys love socialism.
Go to Venezuela. Go to Venezuela. Move there.
Go to Cuba. You think the people in Cuba are swimming across the ocean to Florida because they like to
There's
swim?
a reason why they're all fleeing to Miami and they're taking over Miami because they don't like Cuba.
Yeah, before you say that you support socialism, communism, please go to Venezuela, live there for a year, come back and tell us how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. What's something else that you feel like is very woke that you hate?
I think the desire to be offended, because people love to be oppressed in woke culture, and I'm not talking about people who have every right to be feel like they are being oppressed, or black people who are still dealing with racism on a daily basis, or gay people who are still dealing with a lot of homophobia. I'm not talking about the people who honestly are dealing with those things and we're very aware of those things. I'm talking about like a white straight woman like me who wants
You're not
to
straight.
be, well,
You look straight. You're not
I'm
straight.
straight appearing, right? Just because I'm bi doesn't mean.
You're not straight. But you look straight. You look
But
like
it's called
the
like
privilege,
the passing
right?
privilege, right?
Yeah,
I
for
appear
sure.
to be straight, and just women who want to be like oppressed or offended, or people who like as they say, like white cis people, like. Why are we finding all these things to be like offended about? Or like it's just, we're getting offended for other people. Like there's so many people who, like, I don't know, They become like the social warriors, right? Yeah, like,
but
so
it's like warriors without a real cause.
So listen, this is an example. So on my social media, I do a lot of satire. Like, and a lot of people think that I'm really mean because I do a ton of satire, and it's meant to be provoking. It's meant to be rage baiting. Like that's how I make money. So like that's what it's meant to be. And I made a comment on mine the other day. Again, me as a bi woman, a woman who likes women, like made a joke about like somebody looking like a lesbian. Again, I'm queer, and all of these straight people like running to the defense of like, you can't use lesbian as like an insult. It's like, one, it wasn't an insult. It's just describing something, and I'm fucking gay.
Yeah.
So I can say that if I like. People getting so offended and tiptoeing, like, it's not even your cause to be upset about. And I'm not saying it's not great to stand up for, injustices when you see them, but I think people just take it too far. It's really annoying.
Speaking of offended, I think one of the biggest red flags with woke people is really expecting people to know your pronouns, or to ask you your pronouns in situations where it doesn't matter, right? So like, if you're at a restaurant, or like the haircut lady that's getting like millions of views now because she asks people what's your pronouns, or can I touch you before cutting their hair? How are you gonna cut their hair without touching them? And so I think it's just that sensitivity of, right, like thinking people have to be overly aware about you when people don't give a shit about you. People are all like taking care of themselves, and they give a shit about themselves,
and people
not
aren't
you.
trying to offend you on purpose. You know what I mean? Like I see a lot of people, and I get that probably, like, I've never struggled with gender dysphoria. I've never wanted to be a boy, so I can't imagine how hard that is when you're in the process of transitioning and feeling like, oh my gosh, they can tell that I'm transitioning. That is not really what we're talking about. I'm talking about like in people who.
You look like a man, but you go by
out.
she, her, or she, they, which I also don't fucking get. How can you be they and she?
You say that you're she, her, but you're a man.
You look like
with
a man.
Full beard, with a hairy chest, but you're wearing a dress. And like, I think people can't tell, is it a joke? Are you cross-dressing? Because I promise you, if they really wanted people to think they were a she, her, they wouldn't go out in a full beard and
Yeah,
hairy chest out. They're trying to make a
like
scene.
you can't win because then drag queens can be like man, he, him, but dressed like a woman. Now, if I go by that logic and I call drag queen she or a woman when they actually think they're a man and they're just dressing differently for their job, then I'm also wrong. So you can't really win, and you can't really expect people to just ask you those things all the time, like in everyday situations when it doesn't matter. And like getting offended over things that don't matter is just the easiest way to be unhappy, right? So it doesn't work like that. I guess next thing though that I think is really stupid about woke culture is the whole cancellation of people. Cancel culture. Can we talk about that? Cancel culture! Just like somebody says something wrong on social media, on TV, wherever it is, and their whole 30-year career is now canceled, drowning, because they made a mistake. Now, of course, there's people who are racist, who are homophobic, and they should be corrected by the things that they say. They should have accountability on the things that they say. But it doesn't mean that that mistake or that stupidity coming from that person, like older people who grew up in a very different generation, because they are closed-minded in some things and they may say something wrong, yeah, they should be corrected in the right situations, but it doesn't mean their whole career should go down the hill because they made a mistake.
And I think that's one of the things too, where if your fan base is hugely people who are very woke, like good luck. It's very wishy-washy. I mean, you can be their queen one day and then the next day they're like trying to break into your home and kill you and your family because it's very wishy-washy. Like I think with I think about the Lizzo situation. Like Queen Lizzo, everybody loves Lizzo. And then, you know, the sexual harassment lawsuit came out. And, like, I understand that, like, the backup dancer or whatever, she felt like people were, like, talking about sex a lot, like, pushing her to, like, do stuff she wasn't comfortable with. Like, I totally get it. That's not comfortable. When I was super Mormon, like, I was that girl who always felt like everyone was trying to, like, push my buttons by talking about, trying to get a rise out of me. But then immediately, seeing just everybody turn on Lizzo, who you worshipped the day before.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking like, wow, like, I mean, I know she's super comfortable with her sexuality,
yeah.
so she probably is just that way. Instead of giving people grace or thinking about it and saying, yeah, they should do that differently. They should apologize.
Because one thing is like, this is fucked up. This was a big mistake. Let's learn from it and move on. And the other saying this person is fucked up and they don't deserve any grace. Same thing with Hailey Bieber with the Let Them Eat Cake TikTok.
Oh, the Hailey Bailey?
Hailey Bieber is another one. So Hailey Bailey, with the Let Them Eat Cake TikTok, where right people make the connections historically, the audio and her dress, and like Met Gala where people pay $80K to go, and like how out of touch she was by posting that. Well, did she do it on purpose? Maybe. That's kind of how the game goes on social media. If you get a rise out of people, you get engagement. Now, is that moral or ethical? Like the Kardashians would say? Probably not. Did she not do it on purpose? That's also a possibility. Like, I'm not gonna research what the audience is about. We just want a funny video and go and post it, right? And so, like, at that point, does it matter if she did it on purpose or not? Honestly, even if it was on purpose to get engagement, then yeah, maybe it's not very ethical, but if that's how she pays her bills, then you can be complaining about it, or you can be playing the game and be making money like people are from social media, like she is, just from views, right? Like getting money from that, rather than complaining, being ethical as you would like to be, but not expecting other people to play the same game as you want to play.
I think bringing it back to like in terms of talking about working and being a content creator, I mean, I know it looks like people like Hailey Bailey are living like an amazing work. I would imagine she works extremely hard, and that's something that I've noticed too, and even in myself, because I've noticed this is very different from like my parents' generation about this like fear of hustle culture. And I get that because I'm super pro like self-care. I am super pro like take breaks when you need it. However, I think that working really hard is the only way to live an extraordinary life.
It's rewarded. Like if you work extremely hard, as long as you're taking the right opportunities, right? You don't want to be even if you're a cleaning lady, I know people in the cleaning business, Brazilians, who are killing it and they're making 100K a month in their business.
Yeah, because they started out as a cleaning lady.
They started cleaning.
They learned the business and they started.
I was gonna say, like, if you have the wrong opportunity, if you just want to be the best cleaning lady, maybe by yourself you won't make that much, but you can open a business and you can have the queen of the cleaning city of cleaning in the city, and then you can make 100K a month.
And that's what is different about people born very coddled in the US in the immigrant mentality. Like you, all the Brazilians that we know in the US who started from nothing, who actually came into the country with like $50 to their name and not speaking English. And they have built empires because they're willing to just do the work. And I know Kim's canceled for it. That woman works harder than anybody. It's like,
yeah,
she's like,
Kim Kardashian, right? Contacts. She says in that video, what?
Get off your ass and work.
Now, people are like, oh my gosh, she became famous because of a sex tape and this and that. That doesn't erase all of the work that she's done. She's probably worked 100 times more than us and you combined to get to where she's at. Yes, are there privileges? Was her dad rich? Was her family in a show? Or did she get the film to show? I don't even know. We all have privileges, right? So I think it's worth looking, like recognizing that we're all lucky that we didn't have to build our pipes to get water to our home. We can shower, we can just open it, we don't have to do the work. So we all have privileges going on that we don't recognize. But when we say that people are just privileged, they don't deserve their fame, their success, their money, then that makes us less powerful as well to go and get that for ourselves, to get that bag. And speaking of that, I actually have a club called the Reality Engineers Club. And what I do there is I really help people who want to stop making excuses, right? Like we've all had jobs that we hate. And I was there, right? I was in corporate America. It was actually a decent job. It didn't pay me well, but it was a nice job. But I had bigger dreams, right? I wanted to make a lot of money and help a lot of people with my talents. And that's what I do at the Reality Engineers Club. I help you either start the side hustle or grow it so that you can quit a job, make tons of money, have the freedom that you want, and play the game, right? Life is a game to me. And I just wrote that yesterday in one of my lyrics. Life is a fucking game. And like you can either play to level up, to make more, to get hotter, to get like everything you want out of it, or you can be blaming the situation, your parents. I know people who are 40, they still blame their parents for everything. Like you can either blame or you can take control and say it's all on me. I'm lucky in some ways. In whatever I'm not lucky with, I'm just gonna work hard and make that happen. So go to benjor.com/club to start a free trial right now. But hustle culture is definitely something I think is amazing, and we should not be canceling again, the cancellation shit.
And something that I learned with that, because this is something, and I'll say like, I understand the aversion to hustle culture because I used to be like that. And I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety. And sometimes I'm just exhausted. I don't have the energy to get up and work. But I read a book that honestly changed everything for me. It's called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And in it, he talks a lot about accountability. I think that's something also our generation lacks, is a lot of taking accountability and making things happen for your own. And he said, whether for good or for bad, and this is actually something that helped me in my faith deconstruction when I was feeling really lost about not knowing if I believed in God or if there is a greater power. The idea that like for good or for bad, you are responsible for everything that happens in your life. You know, you cannot rely on fate or good luck or, you know, in my case, thinking like, oh, God will bless me. If it's meant to be, God will make it happen. Removing that from the situation and saying everything that happens to me in my life is up to me. Now, I'm not talking obviously about people who've had horrendous things happen to them that they were victims of, but what you decide to do with those experiences are completely up to you. And I think that's just a lesson that really helped me kind of grow in that mindset.
How did that help, I guess, with like depression and with life in general, like making money, starting your business?
I used to be somebody who, because I was raised by very spiritual people, the idea that like, well, if God wants it to happen, it'll happen. And you know what I think that's a really big excuse for? Sitting on your butt and being afraid to take action.
It's not meant to be, right?
Yeah, so for example, my dad got cancer. And I got him this really thick book about like how to, I'm not saying you can cure cancer by eating good food, but a lot of great action steps. This book saying, if you have cancer, if you have this, here's some amazing steps you can take to prolong your life. Like, who wouldn't want that? And he's like, well, Rachel, God's already decided when I'm going to leave this earth, so that book's not going to change.
It's not fucking taking control in the power of your life.
We're making choices every day. My dad thinks that because God has already a certain time, date, stamp that he's going, what does he eat? Fried chicken, biscuits. He eats like shit.
Doesn't exercise, has never, right? And then you're surprised they have bad health.
And
congrats, you earned it, right? It's all on you.
So accountability has changed everything for me, because even when I'm feeling fucking depressed and I am sad, I cry about it for a minute, I take a nap, and then I get up and I do shit, because there's no savior coming to get you. I used to think a man is gonna come and be your daddy for you and take care of you. Yeah,
she dated guys who are really old, right? Because like, if they have the money, the stability, maybe they'll come and they'll make life easier for you.
And that's the joke for all women. Like, oh, I just need to marry a rich man. Bitch, he's not coming. If he does, congrats, but it's not going to happen. So I think being your own savior, taking accountability, instead of just being at the whim and, oh, I'm a delicate flower and every bad thing that happens. I get it.
Yeah. And you were a lot like that, right?
I was.
She was super delicate and fragile.
I went to fucking therapy. I got on meds. I started reading self-help books and watching Tony Robbins. And I mean, I know that's like kind of cheesy, but watching people who were way better than I was, instead of also watching the people on TikTok who were sad and depressed like me.
Yeah.
I just thought about being a better
You can't
person.
win by listening to losers, right? You gotta really listen to people who are at the level of life that you want. Next thing that we hate is cultural appropriation. All the talks and the annoyance that people have with people who are wearing other cultures. Now, if you look at photos from me since I was 14 probably, I have tons of Indian shirts. I love other cultures in general. Like, for some reason, I've always liked other cultures. And I didn't even travel, right? I was not born into a rich family that traveled the world. And so I never had that, but I always loved other cultures and I wore them and I still do. I actually have a song coming up that has some Indian melodies in it, and I'm dressed super Indian, and I'm doing a little shit on my forehead to provoke people, because if you're annoyed by that, then I don't give a shit, because I love other cultures, especially India. I went there for work and I loved it. Nothing there is done to hurt anybody, but rather to appreciate. Cultural appreciation is what I think of when I see somebody dressed like another culture. Like even like my fake orange hair is like appropriating Ireland or Irish people. Like really? They're the only ones that have orange hair? No, I told Rachel one day I'm gonna have an afro. I love fucking afros too. I love African culture. I have beats in my music to listen to here to ring. There's like African beats because I'm from Brazil and we have a lot of African influence. Like my grandmother, I'm pretty sure she was black from all the photos. And we just have a lot of like African culture influences in Brazil. And I love African shit as well. I love the little African suit that African men wear. And so you're gonna see me wearing all those things in my next music videos because I love it. I think their cultures are sick. Speaking of music, I actually make music to help you get out of your own way. Kill the bullshit. Stop blaming your parents, your circumstances, your situation, and really go after your craziest dreams and goals. And so that music, I brainwash myself with it every day. When I'm feeling tired, feeling down, when I start like blaming my situation, I like, whoop, wake up bitch, you have the power. And that music helps me with the lyrics, the beats, they help me get energized and ready for the day. So I can go and fucking work and stop making excuses and get back to work. So benjor.com/music is where you're gonna find that. Go ahead, listen to that, save it on Spotify. It's gonna be a new song every single month. And it's gonna change your life if you brainwash yourself with good stuff that empower you to take action instead of complain about the world of people. Unless you're making fun of their culture, Which, even like if you're making fun, like you can make fun of Brazil, I'm not gonna get offended by it. I'll think it's funny or that you're stupid. I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, they're not allowed to make fun of Brazil. I'll just say you're ignorant because you think the Brazil is all the Amazon and monkeys everywhere, where it's not the reality. And so I'll just think you're stupid if you make dumb assumptions about my country. But I'm not gonna say that like you should not do it because it's so bad and that hurts my people. It hurts no one. It just makes you look dumb.
Yeah. And like that's something that too that I get a lot. People always tell me that I'm like Asian fishing because I love doing my eye makeup in a way that a lot of like the Douyin, like Chinese makeup and a lot of the Korean makeup. And I think that's so ridiculous. Like they can't have a claim on the way I do my eyeliner. You know, I'm appreciating those things. And so many people have been so angry and like sending me DMs on all these like articles and things of how I'm like, oh, and like also when I was talking about doing my PDO threads, I got so many people DMing me being like, you know, they do that because you're trying to look, the fox eye is really just an Asian eye. It's like, cool, that's great. Like people talk so much crap about like Ariana Grande for like doing the eye surgeries and stuff. And she loves like Japanese kawaii culture. Like
now I will say it is funny how some celebrities can look fucking pale one day and black the next.
They call that like the black fish.
Ariana Grande, even Beyonce, she looks fucking white sometimes and fucking black sometimes. Anita in Brazil does the same. Now, I don't fucking care. I think they look good black and white. Like, do whatever you want. Like, I got a fake tan. It's like, good. Like, they're trying to look black. Like, cool. They're appreciating black people. They're trying to look white. Like, yeah, they look good pale as well. Like, I don't give a shit what color they are.
I think the end of the day is if you're doing things that are not intending to hurt people, you're taking things, and I mean this like
things that you like, right, from other cultures.
Yeah, and I mean just like in general, and this whole world that we live in, right? We're gonna say things that other people don't agree with. If you're doing your best to be a good person, and you're doing your best to live your life, if people offend you, like you said before, number one, most people don't care about you. They're not thinking about you. They're not trying to hurt you. And you got to give people a break because people are going to say things that offend you, and half the world's going to be mad at them. The other half of them is going to think they're like Trump, right? Like there's a lot of things about him I don't agree with.
Which is what makes people fucking powerful. Half of the country, more than half, hate Joe Biden. Half of the country, less than half, hate Trump. Anybody, half of the country hate Kim Kardashian, half love her. If you want to be fucking successful, you gotta be less afraid of being polarizing and being loved and hated, right? So I think we can look at those people and either hate them for playing the game of life and leveling up, or we can learn from them and we can do the same. And so if we want to be successful, if we want to make money, want to have freedom, look at those people, start modeling what they're doing. Do it your own way, right? If you do think that getting a tan and looking more black than you are is not good, then don't do that. But it doesn't mean that you cannot use their tricks to be successful like they are. So I think like the whole point of us hating woke culture is that it's really hating success culture. It's hating people who are strong in their opinions and who are, I guess, capitalism, right? It's really what allows people to grow. Like if we think about the best one wins, that means we have a chance now. Because if it's all about us being equal in an ideal world that doesn't exist, of socialism, hence Venezuela, there's no fucking equality. The government is still flying private jets. It's just the people who are poor. So I think there's just this illusion with socialism that doesn't exist.
There's no utopia. It's never going to be everybody lives this amazing life.
Whereas like capitalism doesn't give a shit who you are as long as you offer the best thing for people. So for example, this whole trend, support small business. I'm a small business owner. My business is very small. I'm going to be a fucking billionaire one day. But right now I'm just starting out. Her business is tiny as well. Our businesses are very small. But I'm not going out there saying, you should buy from me because I'm a small business. Don't buy from the big corporation. Who gives a shit? Customer wants what's best for them. When I learn to give the best to my customer, That doesn't matter how, the size of my company, my skin color, my accent, my Brazilian accent. It doesn't matter who I am. If they like my offer better than the competitors, if it's the best price or best quality, best reviews, then I have a chance now to become number one. Whereas when you're just looking at like all the injustices in the world and how you don't have the opportunities or how life is so hard right now, like, are you kidding me? We can make money from our fucking cell phone, making a video like this every day, being fucking consistent, learning, growing, gaining the skill. You can fucking make money like this, and you're telling me that we live in that place that's so unjust and that there's no opportunities today? Like, fucking wake up, because we're in the best time to be alive right now. AI is fucking killing it, makes everything so easy. You can say, oh my gosh, AI is gonna take over my job. Or you can say, I'm gonna become fucking rich because of AI, because I'm gonna use it to leverage my time and now open a business and make fucking tons of money. That's how you gotta look at things. Last thing though, before we go, that we hate about woke culture is the they, it, he, she situation being like just over the top, like the pronoun shit. Now, we get, if you're gay, we are, right? We're not straight. So we like same sex. We liked since we were young. We never chose that. We're extremely religious. We did not want to like the same sex. It was like one of the worst things we could have chosen, but we still did. Praying the gay away never worked. So we understand if you like same sex. We understand if you feel like you were born in the wrong body, okay? We don't know what that's like, but I can understand that could be a reality, right? And so I understand trans people. Now what I don't fucking understand is the it, is the they, it's the he, they.
It's the dog for me.
It's the dog, it's all that shit.
It's the pup self, the cat self, the furries.
And that's where it starts going again, from the beginning of the video, it starts going to an extreme that it becomes so irrational and so ridiculous that now you're making everybody in the LGBTQ plus community look stupid.
Fucking weird.
And honestly, I don't give a shit about like, we say the community, but like, I mean, she's her. I feel like we do have these communities that like, from people that have the same struggles as us, but I don't think like we put this like flag on our foreheads.
Yeah.
But we are still part of the community, right? It's really like who we are. We can choose that. I don't think that we need to put like all these huge flags on our head for anything, even your country, right? Like, yeah, you should be proud of the US. You don't have to put that flag everywhere on your forehead and make that your whole personality. But when people are saying that they are they, them, but then the next day they can be she, they.
Just depending on the mood, like,
or she, he, like, what the fuck? Pick something that connects with you.
What makes me mad is there are a lot of people, and people that I know, who are going through the process of transitioning, and it's like a slap in the face to somebody to say, I identify as a man today, but tomorrow I might feel like a girl. Like, there are actual people who are actually going through these transitions, having to take hormones, having to have surgeries, having to actually change their life, their families, their names. And you just feel like it's an outfit that you can put on. Like, it's not. And it's like, it's offensive to the trans community. Say, well, during the summer I'm more boy, because that's an aesthetic. It's called tomboy. I had the aesthetic of tomboy, and then I became very much a girly girl. And sometimes I dress like a hobo because I feel like it. I'm not making people say, hey, sir, to me because I'm looking like Billie Eilish one day. It's offensive.
And offensive, again, it's the talk of offensive, right? Who gives a shit if it's offensive? I don't. But it is a disservice to them. I think that's the biggest problem. Because when you make a group of people that are already the minority look fucking stupid, now it's a lot harder to sell to those parents who don't accept their gay kids, their trans kids. It's a lot harder to accept their kids because they think they're part of this fucking stupid group who has lost their mind and who doesn't really understand who they are. Like, they can be both men and women and none and both at the same time and then change their mind the next day.
Wear a dress and think that they're a woman even though they literally have their hairy, manly body out. Like it's dumb. Speaking of small businesses, again, I'm not asking you to go to rosette.co to look at my hair because I'm a small business. I honestly have spent years trying to find the most amazing, thick, voluminous hairpiece. So go check it out, not because I'm a small business, because I'm honestly doing fine, but because I know that my product is amazing. It takes literally 30 seconds to put on. You look amazing. So go to rosette.co or don't.
And miss out.
And miss out.
I'm looking great for cheap.
If we've offended you during this video, which I'm sure that we have, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Go to our social media at Benjor Music, mine at Rachel Rosette. Feel free to comment on our videos to spark a little discussion. And we're open, right? We're not doing this to be mean. Like, we are actually people you can have a very open conversation with, but we are very strong in our beliefs as of what they are right now. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check us out and subscribe, like this video.
Stay crazy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.